with the best interests of the institution in mind. The conduct of a board member must at all times further the institution's goals. The vision of Hoag Library will be to be a virtual resource in the community, a leader in traditional and innovative service for a diverse and dynamic population. This is adapted from the New York State Board of Regents governance role of a board member and the Hoag Library vision statement. I'll do the attendance. Anitris Bennett. Okay. Dan, I see.
Yep,
Debbie.
I'm here.
Kathy Harling.
Here. Yep.
Gloria. Linda, I see. Betty Sue. Barb, Kyla, Megan. I want to say tonight that for the remaining until elections, Barbara will be coming to our meetings. Since she is our financial person, I felt it would be a good thing to have her available. Any financial questions that we may have that can be answered during the course of the meeting, or if we need further information, we won't be 2 meetings into finding out the information. So Barb will be here with us for that, and plus she will be having assignments, as you can see from the meeting. We're going to start the evening off with the public forum, and Bonadino will be presenting their audit to our community. I turn it over. Where are they?
Are you, Joyce, are
Yes.
you turning it over to us or the public?
Yes, you got to the public. I've turned it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Pleasure to be here this evening on this very warm. Hope everyone got outside today. We are briefly going to discuss the results of the audit. I'm joined tonight by Chelsea Wyatt, who is going to assist me with going through the document. So as Chelsea will scroll down to the executive summary, I am very pleased to report that the audit went as planned. That has not always been the case with some of our clients during the pandemic, as they've had disruptions. So very, very thankful to Barb and Betty Sue for keeping the audit on track. As far as the audit opinion, we expect to issue an unmodified opinion that is a clean audit opinion. This is on the modified cash basis of accounting. To remind everybody, what that means is that the majority of the transactions in your financial statements are on a cash basis. However, you do record fixed assets, which is essentially the building, and your debt transactions on the balance sheet. That is why it's on the modified cash basis. Internal control, very pleased to report that there were no material weaknesses identified in internal control. We do have comments in the management letter that we have shared with management. Audit adjustments, as part of the audit process, we typically have audit adjustments. These are mainly converting the capital and fixed asset depreciation from the cash basis to the accrual basis, very standard. And as I already mentioned, good interaction with management, and key items, there are no new accounting policies adopted this year. On the next page is the required communications letter. This goes over the qualitative aspects of the audit. What the key items on here is responsibility. Again, reminding everybody that these are management's financial statements. They take responsibility for them. We opine on the fairness of the financial statements, and we report back to the board. The other item on here I would focus towards the bottom of the page is the financial statement disclosures. There are a couple sensitive disclosures in the financial statements. One is footnote 3, which is liquidity. What that shows is the amount of liquid cash available to the organization should they need it. And then also footnote 9 has the COVID-19 uncertainties as part of the financial statements. As we flip down to the next page, the other key item in this document I would focus on is the third one, management representation. Again, what that is saying is management takes responsibility for the financial statements, and they are representing to us that they were transparent and truthful in our inquiries and provided us all the information we needed. What I would say is when we take all the 10 elements in this letter, it's a very benign letter, and by it being benign, that means it's a good letter. Had this document been 4 or 5 pages, probably myself and the board would have been having a conversation before tonight's meeting. If we scroll down to the next page, What this shows is the audit adjustments recorded this year. So the organization reports on a cash basis. So that's where that change in net assets or your surplus of $110,000 is. And when we come in and we perform the audit, we work with Barb and we record the capital asset transactions. So you can see where the additions were added. So those were taken out of expenses, 31,000, but then depreciation expense is recorded. So that decreases your net income by 152,000, 153,000. That is a non-cash item, but it is being recorded. And then when you come down to the change in net assets, that's where you see the deficit this year of $14,000 being reported. When we look at the financial statements at a very high level, a couple key things that happened this year. Results from operation, there was a $14,000 deficit that I just mentioned. Last year, you had $118,000 surplus. Essentially, the difference between last year and this year was in 2019, there was a significant contribution of $100,000 that was not received this year. Your expenses stayed relatively flat. This is consistent with what I'm seeing with other nonprofits in the pandemic year, where they might have saved on expenses such as salaries or travel costs. They're actually seeing increases in supply and in supplies and cleaning expense, and you followed suit with that. You also had an increase in your maintenance expense. The third large bullet down the balance sheet, as we continue to say, the library is on strong financial footing. Your total net assets of almost $4 million and a current ratio, that's a measure of the short-term liquidity strength of the balance sheet, 9.4. So what that means is you have essentially $9.4 of cash to every $1 liability you got to pay out in the next year. And then in the management letter, I did mention earlier that we had a couple small items. Again, we do not expect those we did not classify those as material weaknesses, but discussion of posting the audit adjustments that we work on and that we provide to Barb. Then also the review and update an investment policy. The investment policy has not been updated in over a decade, so we've asked management to take a look in that, especially as they move cash funds this year to a money market. And then the prior year internal control items, review of the payroll change report. That would be Betty Sue reviewing that payroll change report just to make sure that it's in reason what the hours worked and the salary amounts, and working on that. And then the other item is the library director annual review and executive compensation. Very pleased to report that item has been addressed this year. So all in all, what I would say is a very successful audit. And again, reiterating that the library is on a strong, sound financial foundation. Are there any questions?
There being no questions, we'd like to thank you very much for your time and the report.
Yes, you're welcome, and it's a pleasure to serve the library. Chelsea and I really enjoy serving you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Have a good evening, and hopefully the spring weather is here to stay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Good night, Chelsea. Good night,
Good night.
John.
Good night. Are there any people in the audience, Mike, that would like to address the board? That being said, the first order of business is the review and adopt the minutes, but there needs to be a minor correction. Everyone knows that Gloria is our ad hoc parliamentarian. If you don't know it, I'm going to tell you she is. And because we were having the issue with the seconds, who made the motion and who made the second for the last set of minutes, Gloria found, and it really is something that I think we practiced, but we didn't practice it consistently, is that if the motion or recommendation comes from a committee or from the board, it does not require a second. So all the issues of looking for who seconded, we can discard that. If we could agree, we can correct the minutes by saying that the motions that were made to the board by the finance committee, for example, or any of the motions that were made by the board can stand as written, that there is no need to have a second for those. And you would just record whether they were approved or not. And all the motions that were before the board at the last meeting were approved. So that being said, are there any corrections to the minutes from the February 10th board meeting? Did I see your hand, Gloria? Okay. Is there a question about what I just said? Linda?
I think to make it clear, we should go
Please.
through each one that there's a question on so that the notes can be taken in real time. And that way Megan can record correctly from the minutes of last month.
Okay. Well, would you, since you've got it there in front of you, you start and we'll just go ahead and take a vote.
All right, let's try to find one here. Review and adopt the director's report. It didn't
That does
show.
not require a motion.
Okay, so number 2 should be taken off those minutes then.
Yes. Yes, corrections to the February minutes.
Okay.
And what we're doing, Megan, is we're taking each motion and just voting. Okay. Go ahead, Linda.
So if we go under the finance committee, number 2, it says seconded by Debbie, unanimous, notes do not reflect who made the motion. So since it was from the committee, that line can be stricken. Notes do not
Yes.
reflect who made the motion.
Right, they do not need to reflect that.
The same thing with number 3.
Yes,
After unanimous, notes don't reflect who made the motion. Strike that line.
exactly.
Number 4, same thing, since it came from committee, strike the
Right.
line, notes don't reflect who made the motion.
Right,
Also, where we have seconded by, that doesn't need to be in there,
it doesn't need to be in there at all. No seconds are required.
not at all.
So for Megan's clarification, under finance committee, number 1 through 4, if it has a seconded by or notes don't reflect, please remove those.
Right, correct.
You got that, Megan?
Yes,
Correct.
right.
Linda, do we want to?
All you need is a vote, whether it was unanimous or who abstained.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, and buildings and, okay, and now the next we'll go to buildings and grounds.
Joyce, can we just back up a little bit?
Yes,
I believe number 4 on here. Wait a minute. Am I? Just a second. Let me just look at something. Yeah. Number 4, and I had mentioned this last time. We still don't have the correct verbiage in there anywhere. I know it's been passed. It's not a problem, but we still need to have in there somewhere. And I can't even find my notes. As far as that we can change the percentages if we need to. I'll find the verbiage and I'll get back to you.
okay. Okay, so I'll remember that and put it on the next one. So we'll move now to buildings and grounds.
Yep, and so it's the only one on there, number 1.
And
And it was a motion to participate by me, seconded by Debbie.
So no
not-
second,
Not unanimous.
right.
So Gloria, you didn't abstain, you abstained.
Yes.
Or voted.
Mhm.
So motion to.
So Gloria,
Megan,
Gloria,
Megan, it should say motion to participate. I made it. Take out seconded by Mrs. DeBow.
no second,
I know, I said take it out. So you're gonna remove the line seconded by Debbie.
right.
And then Gloria Nodden abstained, motion passed.
Mhm. Yes, Gloria abstained.
So it should read, motion to participate made by Linda. Gloria Nodden abstained, motion passed.
Right. I'll let you look at this when we're finished. Okay. Okay, and now we go down to, I think that might. Those were all the motions. Except for the miss. When it comes to motion, oh yeah, that's fine.
I think that's it.
Okay, now, are there any other correction, anything on the February minutes? Do I have a motion? Is there a motion to accept with the changes? Linda? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion passed. We now we'll go to the finance.
Joyce,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Yes,
Because that was a motion that didn't come from a committee. Did that need a second? So Linda made the motion. Dan was willing to second it. Does it need that?
I don't think that one did because the motion to accept it is a board decision, it's a group decision. It's
Okay.
not,
Just
they-
checking, so you don't have to change it.
right,
Okay,
because.
no problem.
Are we correct on that? Mrs. Harling, do you know? Do we have to make a second?
I would think that you would. Why don't we do it just to be safe if there's a
That would be
question?
fine. That would be fine. Is there a second? Dan. Dan is seconding that.
Okay, so to be clear, we made the motion to accept the February 10th meeting minutes of the board
With
with the
changes.
changes. And we're gonna have to revisit this once we get the verbiage for number 4 under Finance Committee.
Yes, and she has it.
So
I have-
this will have to be brought up in the April.
Yes,
So we shouldn't approve this.
I have the verbiage now, if you want.
you have the verbiage now.
Okay,
Okay.
We should have
Can
had,
you-
this was approved at the January, in the January minutes. And it said motion to approve 2021 budget by Linda Wellard, seconded by Dan Conrad, unanimous. But what we left out was the board will have opportunity at a later date to adjust proportions and percentages within this total amount. Oh, we left out the total amounts too, so
Okay.
it's a mess.
Did you hear that, Megan? Could you say that, Gloria?
You know, I
Or
don't have,
better yet,
I don't even have the total amounts because I'll wait. We'll do it later.
we'll wait. We'll put that on hold.
It's not a problem because Betty Sue had already submitted it. I just want to make sure we have the correct verbiage in our minutes. So if anyone looks at it, they'll say, well, you know, because I went and looked at the ones that we have done previously, it always had the total amounts in the motion along with this specific verbiage. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about. So if someone looks back, they can't say, well, why didn't you put this in the minutes? That's all.
Okay, so, and looking at the motion, we're accepting the report without with changes to be made regarding the number 4 in finance.
Not a problem.
Does that satisfy you, or how would you like to state that? All right, that sounds like it's a go. Dan, you still second? Okay, so we'll move forward. We're looking at finance committee and treasurer's report. I kind of lump those two together since they're both money. Linda and Gloria.
So the Finance Committee met on March 4th at 10:30 a.m. Those in attendance were Gloria Nauden, Joyce Riley, Betty Sue Miller, and Linda Weller. Barb Kyler had joined us for a portion of the meeting. Thank you, Barb. Out of the meeting, the community bank fee, Barb will contact the bank to set up a time with the bank and Joyce regarding the fees and account status. When we left that meeting, the meeting was set for the 8th at 11 a.m. A question was asked about the credit fee that the library pays. The library is taking in more than is being charged in fees. The library does not have a minimum set for credit card payments, and we take as little as $1. This is something we should look into because it could cost you more than we get back. Betty Sue will look up the policy and credit card amounts.
I'm going to say that Barb and I did talk to Heather at the bank, and the fees of the $55.12 that originally caused us concern has been reduced. Barb, would you like to just give them the final number if Heather sent it to you?
Yes, it's $20 a month.
Right, which is what it was prior to them starting to charge us extra. And I believe Heather said it would be retroactive
To January.
to January. So that was a positive outcome. I believe that there are some motions related to expenses.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Mrs. Nauden had asked about the Smith Barney Operating Fund investment policy, that it's not up to date. And as we just learned from the Bonadeo audit, the library investment policy must be reviewed and adopted by the Board of Trustees.
Yearly.
The committee discussed and revised the disbursement of funds. And the number is 3.4.2021, the date of the meeting. We talked about standardizing the motion to accept the transfer of funds. It's just the verbiage. So we have two motions for you. A motion to accept the transfer of funds from Smith Barney to Five Star Bank in the amount of, my overlapping screen, sorry, $40,000 for payroll expenses. A motion to accept the transfer of funds from Smith Barney to Community Bank, the amount of $32,028.21 for monthly expenses. A recommendation came from the committee for paying the cloud services from Info Advantage for the remainder of the year in the amount of $225. This will eliminate the monthly bill of $25. So we're asking for a motion to accept the payment of expenditures as brought to the committee that met on March 4th, 2021. Thank you.
Are there any questions regarding the motions? All in favor?
Aye.
Linda, Linda. you need to-
I have to abstain. I was on mute, sorry.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All abstentions? One abstention. Okay, motion passed. I think Linda did bring up the disbursement policy. The disbursement policy was sent out to everyone, correct, Linda?
I
For
believe
everyone
so.
to see. Yes. Did everyone get an opportunity to look at the disbursement policy?
Joyce, do you have that listed on the agenda as new business by any chance?
Yes, I did.
And also, we didn't
Okay.
approve the agenda as well.
Oh, thank you. Let's back up to that then. Are there any additions or subtractions to the agenda? Motion to accept the agenda. Gloria? All of a sudden, my brain took a holiday. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's move forward. So that's finance, elections. Oh, personnel, I'm sorry. Personnel committee. Gloria?
The Personnel Committee met via Zoom on March 3rd at 6:30 to discuss employees' pay raises. And in attendance were Joyce, Debbie, Kathy, and myself. The committee agreed to recommend to the board a 2.5 raise retroactive January 1st, 2021 for the employees. And I just want to make a note here that Betty Sue's salary will be discussed and negotiated at a later date. So right now, we're looking at a 2.5 raise retroactive to January 1st, 2021 for the other employees.
The motion has been made. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Anitris. I don't see Anitris. Did one hear from Anitris? Okay, we haven't, we did receive a copy of the outline, the timeline for the nominations and elections from the Nominations and Elections Committee for the up and coming election. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the dates? A motion attached to the petition, which I'll read right now. The motion is a recommendation that the board accept the elections protocol as written above. Any discussion? All in favor of accepting the plan as outlined by the Elections Committee?
Aye.
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 The Nomination Election Committee plan for the upcoming election is accepted. Thank you.
Joyce,
Yes,
I'm gonna need those dates. I gotta get the news release for tomorrow afternoon.
I'll leave it with Betty Sue.
Okay, thank you.
Next on the list, Okay. Next, Barb is going to give
Joy?
us, yes,
I'm going to give Barb the copy of the timeline right now. I'm going to print it and put it on her desk. Okay?
thank you very much, and I'll keep mine.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have Barb is going to review with us the information she has on the bids that came in for our IT. And I'm going to turn it over to Barb, and everyone can receive a sheet with that information. She's going to review IT. We'll discuss it, come up hopefully with a recommendation, and then Barb will go into the one on maintenance, and we'll discuss that as well. So Barb, I turn it over to you.
Thanks. As you can see, we had 3 bids. The level 1 PC bid gave us both the a la carte, which is the remote and on-site support, as well as the monthly maintenance. I did make an error in the monthly maintenance. It's not $775 a month, it's $350. The $25 per computer was for if we didn't contract for maintenance and they had to do maintenance repair on any one particular computer in a month, it would be $25. That's confusing to me because of the 40 and 50. So not sure why he had that extra number in there. He's a one-man show. He does not have any, he had backup in that he will find somebody to back us up if he's on vacation or sick, but they wouldn't know our system. And as far as the monthly maintenance and monitoring goes, we generally don't go for that because we don't want someone to be able to get into our computers at any time that they want to when our computers are on. Vitek only gave us the monthly maintenance, which would do everything, all the repairs, the on-site that we would need, the help desk, everything that we would need, but they only do a contract. And as you can see, they are much more expensive. Info Advantage, their original said $100 an hour. I broke it down to half an hour because that's what level 1 PC had it at, and I wanted to do apples to apples. Charge in 15-minute increments, where PC1, it's $40 for the first half hour. He didn't say anything about 15-minute increments. The difference between the level 1 and an Info Advantage is that level 1 will take payment as done, and Info Advantage takes a retainer and works off that retainer until it's all spent, and then we either send them more money or pay a la carte as it happens. Any questions?
Please ask your questions now. Are we
Oh, one
prepared?
other difference that I want to note is level 1 PC charges $50 to come and pick up a computer if they need to take it back, where Info Advantage does not charge us for that.
Okay.
And level 1 PC, you said it's just a one-man show?
Yes.
Okay. So if something happens in the middle of the night, I mean, I don't know if that does, but
Now, with Info Advantage and Vitek, if something happens in the middle of the night or off hours, they have a different rate. Vitek's would be 185 and Info Advantages is 150. I believe level 1 only does during business hours.
Any more questions?
So
Does
Joy, Joyce, so I'm looking at this with Info Advantage. So we pay 2,500, is that it? I don't know where I'm
Yes,
3,000 from for some reason, but it's 2,500.
right.
Mhm.
It's like that's banked and all the fees that they have up there, they use that from that bank.
Right, I understand.
We require services, yeah. Does everyone feel comfortable tonight to make a decision on our tech? If yes, can I have a motion? If not, can I also have a motion?
So do you want the motion to say who we think we should go with?
Yes. Because we actually need to, and we also need to put, maybe we need to just also put it out there that we would look at a 3-year contract, because you can't be changing. I don't think it would be wise to be changing tech every year with a company, because it's not gonna promote stability in the long run for the library or for the users, because everyone has their own way and style of doing things, and that constant changing is not going to make us more efficient. So whoever we choose, we need to be consistent for at least 3 years. Yes, Dan. Unmute, Dan.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, after hearing all the comparisons, I think the most logic thing to do would just be stay with the Info Advantage. To be honest with you, because if it's a one-man show with the other company, and he's got to call somebody that's not familiar with our, with our system, and then you look at the price difference between the other company and Info Advantage, I think the more logic thing to do is just stay right where we're at. So I make a motion to stay with Info Advantage.
I'll second it.
Okay, now I'm going to do a roll call.
Well, can I ask the question?
Absolutely.
I agree with going with Info Advantage. That's not a problem. But would they be willing, when we did this, did we tell them that we're looking at this for a 3-year instead of trying to renew it every year? Will they be willing to, keep the same
Pricing structure.
pricing structure for 3 years?
Maria, when I've been charged with doing contracts and bidding it on a 3-year basis, it was never absolutely required that it had to be identical, but it had to be within reason. And I can, for example, with our snow plowing, he kept the price the same for 3 years, but in our contract, it said we get charged for salting. He never charged us for salting. So 1 year he added the salting in and we kept it. It did cost more. So that is what I remember being told when I was supposed to be bidding for 3-year periods.
Right. Did you let them know that we were looking at 3 years, Barb?
No, I didn't. I did not. Sorry.
Do you want me to say, can I, if we,
Don't say anything, Linda.
oh, because the other companies don't have, just gonna
Say
tell you
anything.
the,
Don't say it, Linda, don't say anything. Please
Stain,
don't
I'm
say
outta here.
anything. Okay, good. It stays clean.
Correct.
Okay. Feedback from everyone else.
I
Yes,
say we-
Dan.
Should we wait then and just see about the 3 years? Or can we make the motion now to accept to stay with Info Advantage? And then next meeting, find out about the 3 years and then extend it on the 3 years on the next meeting's date and then going forward for the 3 years starting then? Would that be a possible thing to do? So at least we have an agreement, a board decision to stay with somebody until the next meeting.
So here's my thing, Dan. If you wait, are you gonna change your mind with a one-man show? That's
No.
number one.
No.
Are you gonna change you're with someone who already has a high fee and their services are still not the same as the ones that we're currently getting. Because
No.
even if, because the one thing, most businesses, when people want to keep your business, they don't go out of their way to screw you if they want to stick around. You know what I mean? So if you're getting a good deal now and your price a year from now or 2 years from now go up slightly, that is not unusual. You know what I mean? It's business. So I, as a voting member also, I feel comfortable that our best deal would be continuing with Info Advantage. When
I
I
put
look at
another-
what's out there,
Can I put another 2 cents in?
yes,
We've been with Info Advantage for a few years and their prices never changed.
yes,
Just putting that out there.
yes.
So can we make the motion now then to stay with Info Advantage?
Motion has been made. We're now voting for it, Megan. Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call. Dan says yes. Gloria,
What is the motion again?
the motion is to keep Info Advantage for the next 3 years for our IT.
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Joyce is yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Yes. We have 5 yeses. That being said, Info Advantage is our IT person for the next 5 years. I mean, next 3 years. I gave you 2 extra years. Okay. Now, the other issue is, I think, a lot more complex. Would you? Yes.
I'm abstaining on that one. Make sure you record that.
Yes. Did you get that, Megan? Okay, thank you. The next is the maintenance bid. All right,
Yeah.
Barb.
Well,
I have to take a
basically,
deep breath, that one.
well, it's pretty self-explanatory with what I sent you. There's not a whole lot I can add to it. I certainly can tell you that we can take them or not, but we don't have to take everything. Like if we wanted to stick with snow plowing with Timothy Newton and take nothing else, that's our choice. If we want to take the whole package that he's offered, again, our choice. So if you want the lawn mowing and the snow plowing or just the maintenance, it's up to you. Same with E&E property. Although I don't remember, Betty Sue, do you remember if he said anything about being able to divide that up?
I believe he did.
Okay. But he does not want to do the snow plowing
No, he does
Because-
not.
because of the liability.
Yep.
And I did search for more companies. I was just having a lot of trouble. There was another one that was going to give us a bid and never did.
Never showed.
Okay, may I make a suggestion? My suggestion would be to send this to Buildings and Grounds, have them dig a little deeper, and have them come back to the board with what recommendation.
Mhm.
What does everyone think? I mean, that's just, for me, it's nothing that's hard and fast. Because it's kind of hard for me to wrap myself totally around it without making more inquiries. And Buildings and Ground might be the place. Let this rest.
And I can give whoever wants it, the contracts and stuff that they each gave me. But I don't know that they're gonna say a whole lot more.
Yeah, I mean, is there any feedback on performance in the community? Betty, do you hear anything? Either one way?
No, I don't. We know Timothy Newton because he's been doing the driveways and the parking lot. We don't know him as far as other things are concerned. He mentioned that he has pretty much done it all because he was in construction for a long time. And over time, he has reduced his number of clients and what he offers because it's easier to employ yourself and a couple of people than it is to run a big crew. So he would primarily be the one working for us. He came into my office when we were talking and he immediately noticed the scuff marks on the wall where the chairs ride. And I explained that, you know, we used to have these things taken care of and once a month. So he said, well, you know, he said, I think I would run a chair rail along there to protect it. He said, you know, I've thought that all along. So I did find him to be agreeable to as much or as little as we wanted. I think, although I always thought Ron was fairly well paid at $27 an hour because it's more than the staff mostly makes. When you look at what these two quote at, what is it, 44 and 50?
42.
It's like, whoa, you know, it just stuns me. I think I spoke, Joyce and I talked about this and Barb and I have talked about it. And we have not had a lot of problems. So my one suggestion was that we take a year and as things come up that need attention, most times we can find somebody who can take care of it. We have access to Jimmy Babcock, who's done a number of things for us. If we had a problem that was structural, I would call Jimmy, and if he could fix it, we'd pay him. And that Barb and I would keep a chart of what we had needed for the course of a year, who we paid to do it, and how much per hour and how much total, so that we have some idea of what a year's worth of maintenance in this building would cost us. I think we can survive for a year without having somebody on site under contract. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yeah, I like that idea. And if we have to make a motion, I'll make the motion to go with Betty's idea.
The problem I would have with that is you'd want to make sure that anyone coming on site and to do any repairs actually had insurance.
Yep.
And, you know, that would be a thing for Barb. You know, if you had 20 different people, that's 20 different insurance policies.
See, I don't
With the
think we would
information I was
have,
given for the.
I don't think we'd
bids,
have that, Linda. Because most of the people that are on the list behind us that used to be used are local, and I don't know, Barb, do you still have insurances for some of them?
I get insurances for Timothy Newton every year, twice a year.
Okay,
And other people that come in, I have to ask for that. I have to ask for
right.
that and their, what is it, I forget what it is. I can send them-
W-9.
W-9.
I have
Yep.
to get all their information.
Okay, so when Jimmy Babcock was here, you got that from him.
Yes,
Would
I
that
did.
have to be submitted every time they came on site?
It's good for a year.
Okay,
One for a
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you'd have to get the insurance policy. You'd have to, Barb would have to keep track of when that expired.
And not for
Yeah.
nothing, our previous person refused to get insurance. And that always bothered me.
really?
Yep. He said that he didn't make enough here to warrant getting insurance.
Really?
Well,
Okay. It sounds like we're going to be observing for a year and collecting costs, and we'll be tabling this particular item for now. Is that correct? We'll be tabling this for a future date, a year, sounds like.
I mean,
Except you do
yeah, I
have to
mean,
work
I
on,
was good with the maintenance bid.
You were?
I was. It's enough information for me.
For me
Um,
too, I think we have enough information.
You what? I didn't hear
I
you.
think we have enough information.
To make a
Mhm.
A
All right.
motion.
Okay. Who's gonna make a motion?
I will
Make-
make the motion. I will make the motion to accept from the maintenance bids, Timothy Newton.
For all apart?
I would say all.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Now, Linda, can
Uh,
I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
Last year, we had Michael Neidert mowing the lawn because he did it as a $1,500 donation to the library. We paid for his insurance and we then paid him $1,500 and he returned it. So
So
our whole lawn was 500. Would
Okay.
you want to automatically accept lawn mowing at $500 as Newton is done, or would you want to accept the other parts of his bid and then wait on that and say, we know this is what you've bid, but we have to compare it out?
So I would like to make a motion to accept the bid from Timothy Newton minus the lawn mowing,
Okay,
but for the maintenance is needed, the snow plowing and the salting.
okay,
I could be happy with that.
okay. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, I have Linda, Kathy, Gloria, you? Gloria?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it because can we, if someone provides services and we pay their insurance, is that what you said, Betty Sue? And then they turn around and give it back to the library. Is that legal?
Yeah, it's a donation.
Legal.
Actually,
We wrote him, what we did, Gloria, is we wrote him out a check for the amount, been a total of $2,000 for him to mow the lawn, as though he were a contractor. He then wrote us a check for $1,500. So there is a paper accounting for all parts of that transaction. So on paper, all it does is say, wow, we paid somebody to mow the lawn, and look, somebody made a $1,500 donation. Does that make sense?
It makes-
technically, we didn't pay his insurance.
What?
Technically, we paid him $500. He just happened to
Yes.
use that 500 to pay for
Yeah.
his.
Okay, all right, now
Yes.
that, now it
No,
makes,
we did not pay it. I'm sorry. Because it's not a business for him, he needed to have insurance and wasn't worth his while to pay. But yes, you could say we gave him an initial payment of $500, whatever he did with it, who knows?
okay,
Okay?
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
much better, Barb, much better.
Okay, so so Megan got it right. The motion is to accept Timothy Newton for our maintenance, except for the lawn mowing
At this time,
at this time.
he may be the best.
Right. Okay, all in favor?
Is it the lawn mowing or not the lawn mowing? Ugh. You said maintenance. Are we doing the snow plowing and salting as well?
He's already under contract for that
Okay,
until next fall. So
Okay.
you can either include it for next year now, or you can wait and say, we'll do that in November of next year.
can't we just do it now?
Actually,
I thought-
his bid is for the 21-22 season.
Oh, okay.
His bid. Oh, okay. Okay,
So the motion should read to accept the bid from Timothy Newton for maintenance as needed, snow plowing and salting the parking lot.
For the 21-22 season.
Yes, for the 21-22 season.
okay.
Oops, wait a minute. How about the exterior and interior is needed? What are we gonna do with that? That's on here.
Oh, that's
That's
part
under
of the
the two
labor,
dots.
That's
That's,
part of it.
part of it.
Do you
That's it. When you accept his contract, it includes that.
Okay.
Right. For example, what I used to have to do with Ron is when we start seeing the molds building up on the outside of the building, I would text him and say, Ron, you gotta come get rid of the molds.
all right,
And
so
that's
Miss
part of it.
Gloria? Gloria, If you see asterisks after maintenance is
I did.
needed,
Yeah, I figured it out.
okay,
Thank you.
that's what I
And-
included.
And please understand that $42 is for every person that he brings on the property to help him. So
Right.
it's $42 for him and $42 for his helper an hour. At that point, it would be $84 an hour. Just letting you know.
And if he brings 3, that's even more.
Yes. And I'm sorry, I guess I didn't put that on there. I thought I did.
No, I think it was,
Unless I put it in the email, I thought I had put it on there, sorry.
so that being understood, all right, so we're back to the motion. So now I'm gonna ask, Dan, yes, no?
No.
Gloria, yes, no? I can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm not sure right now. I'm thinking.
Okay. Debbie, yes, no?
I'm a yes.
Linda,
Yes,
Kathy,
Yes,
and that leaves,
Mhm.
my vote is actually a no, because I'm with Betty Sue, with waiting the year out to see what we actually need in terms of building upkeep.
And if I had a
Because-
vote, I would have been yes.
All right, is there, Linda, bring your face back up so we can see it. Linda, I'm willing to be convinced.
I was taking a drink.
No, you weren't.
Okay. Okay, so, I mean, we're split 50-50. So let's talk about, yes, Gloria.
I guess my problem is this, and you guys know I think too much. That's what my problem is. I think too much. Let's say there's a job he has to do at the library, and it's going to be, he's going to bring 3 guys. This is just an example.
Mhm.
And they're there for 4 hours. How much is that going to cost? That's going to be quite a bit of money.
Do you want me to jump in here?
Yeah.
Number one, there's nothing that we would be hiring him to do in general maintenance that would be that large a deal. We would be contracting that out. That would be like when we have the floors redone, we have the carpets cleaned, we have the windows washed. We're talking general routine maintenance and repairs, not huge. Now, I also didn't hear him say that everybody would be the same price. I just didn't hear it. I don't remember it, so I can't, but I would work on negotiating that with him
Okay,
to see, if you're bringing a helper, what are we looking at? I would have no problem doing that. The other thing is, there was one more point I was going to make. I mean, I was more than willing to keep track of this for a year, but if you're telling me that you're willing to accept this now, boy, that makes my life easier. And I don't think it's a bad deal.
Barb,
Can I read this? On his building maintenance, perform exterior and interior building maintenance per library director, all materials supplied by the library. And number 2, all work will be done on a per hour, per person basis.
I still would negotiate them. But yes, thank you for finding that. I appreciate it because I didn't remember it.
Linda afterwards.
So
But
Betty Sue,
also, if he brings a person with him, then you're going to assume the job will be done twice as fast. Because when Ron Tower would come on site, there were jobs that needed 2 people and he'd bring somebody else with him. If
And
he's been here
charge us
trying to
double.
do it excuse me?
He charged us double.
He did. Yes, he did. But the theory is, okay, he got it done in less than half the time because sometimes 2 people can accomplish something faster than one in double time.
Okay,
Linda,
so we already know, we came to this point because we already knew what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you already looked at what our previous maintenance had done. So to me, there's no reason to wait another year
Yeah, I see it.
because we already
I get
have
it.
that information.
Yep, we do.
This is something that we're calling someone on site for. They're not going to show up haphazardly and charge the library tons of money for because they're just coming in and going, oh, I wanted to replace this outlet for you. This is a on-call maintenance as needed. Not they're gonna come here on a Saturday and just do a bunch of stuff and then charge us. So I would like to say that if 3 outlets needed to be changed, you're gonna say, hey, look, these need to be how long do you think it's gonna take? It's gonna take us 6 hours. I
Right.
don't know about that. I'm gonna have to bring that to the board.
The
That's
other
how I see
thing,
this
Linda,
going.
is you were the one who conscious of the fact that our previous maintenance person was always allowed to come and go as he pleased. And which meant he was here after hours, he was here on weekends. And the theory was he could get stuff done. In speaking to both of these people, I said, we will not want you in the building on site
After
unless there
hours.
is someone here. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. And I do. So, and you know
okay,
what? It's 1 year.
so, okay. Shall we cast the vote again? Dan,
I'm still on no, because I still think we should look at hiring our own maintenance person, like we had discussed prior.
okay. Gloria,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes,
oops, you muted, Kathy. Kathy, you're muted.
sorry, I unmuted and said yes, but you must have
Okay,
missed it, sorry.
Linda, you're yes,
Yes.
I'm yes, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yes, 1 no. Dan is no, you got that, Megan? Thank you.
I think we can make this work.
Oh, Timothy Newton is our new maintenance person, except for lawn mowing.
Okay.
Okay. Old business, COVID policy and sick vacation policy updates. I sent those out to everyone as soon as I received them from Greta. And if you read the emails that accompanied the policies, you will see that everything in red is not negotiable. The only thing that's negotiable is the vacation policy, which is a policy that we have been currently has been currently implemented in use since last year. What Greta felt that we should do is that we should recommend that the board accept these policies retroactive to September 30th, 2020. So that we would with the law. I would like to open it up for discussion and any questions that you may have regarding these policies. So I would like to
Joyce, were they sent, when were they emailed to? I didn't have time to look at them, but if
they were emailed to me. I got them today, and I got them.
that's okay. I would-
Riley?
I would just like to say that Greta's making these recommendations and she's our attorney. I don't know why we just can't accept her recommendations because we've been.
Mrs. Riley, we don't, you forwarded her. There's no attachments. Hers
I
had,
did for.
hers had attachments, yours did not. Hers must have had attachments and you.
Yeah.
But you
Because-
forwarded it without the attachments.
Everyone got them without the attachments?
I didn't try to look at them, so I don't know. I'm gonna go.
I was pretty, usually when I forward them, I always forward with attachments.
I
gonna-
don't have attachments on mine. I don't know if I'm the only one.
Okay. I've got them here again. Okay, I'm gonna forward them again right here. Forward. I'm gonna put Linda. Dan.
I think.
Okay,
I got
I've sent them all out again. I forwarded all to everyone again. Hopefully you got them. It's the paid family, the sick leave, they're all in red, those two. And then the paid vacation, which is the one with options. Did you get first, Linda? Debbie?
Yeah, they just came.
Okay.
Can I say, can we wait till next month? This is really long. I'd actually like to read it instead of just randomly
Sure,
saying yes to it.
absolutely.
Sorry, I hate to do it. I would like to
No.
actually read it.
Don't hate to do it.
Thank
And
you for
also-
resending. Yeah, this is pretty long. I wouldn't even have time to read it.
There's a
And,
lot, there's
Okay.
a lot.
It is a lot.
and I understand it is a recommendation from the attorney, but I would still, in good conscience, like to be able to.
That is not a
Okay.
problem.
And you know,
Can I say something here?
Yes,
Okay. On the third page that's in black, that was just the stuff that you approved last fall, but Barb never got a copy of because they floated all over the place. It's the
That's the
one with the
vacation.
chart on it where they changed it from straight PTO to the vacation time.
yeah.
And then the PTO was separate. Barb has been working off this set of directions since, I don't remember when, Barb. And I'm wondering if,
Betty Sue, Betty Sue.
just wait
We
on all of
can-
it.
It's
Never
all
mind.
gonna wait till
Okay.
April.
Okay,
And that's the easiest, it's the most
Okay.
efficient way.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Because, that was my biggest concern today. It was a lot to get in one
Yeah.
day
I got it.
and people are working. So that's, on the agenda for April. Now we go down to new business, and we have the disbursement policy. Want to go with that, Linda?
So the disbursement policy. Let me pull it back up
Mhm.
here somewhere. All right, do you want me to read the whole thing, Mrs. Riley?
Oh, might be,
Okay.
and then it will generate discussion, because that might be one thing we can get through tonight.
So it would be 4.4, disbursement of funds. The Board of Trustees has a fiduciary responsibility for oversight of the library's finances. These include a board-approved budget, internal financial control, and third-party oversight of financial operations through a routine pattern of reviews and audits. A, all funds dispersed for the library must be approved by the board at a regular meeting. Procedure. 1, all bills will be audited and verified by the library director and at least one member of the finance committee. 2, a list of disbursements with check number, amount, and payee will be provided to the board for review and approval. Side note under that, board may vote to approve in total or individual. Item B, items such as salaries, taxes, and utilities may be paid prior to the meeting, but must formally be approved at the next meeting. Salaries shall be listed in a lump sum amount. Individual payments to employees shall not be listed individually. C, all contracts awarded by bid must be approved by the board at the regular meeting. D, all new and existing contracts pertaining to the operation and maintenance of the Hoag Library must be approved by the board. E, spending limits. The director shall have the capacity to disperse funds no greater than $2,000 for a new vendor, as long as it qualifies for the advancement of the library's programs, budget, or building maintenance. The new vendor will not be a contract expense without board approval. Number 2, the director shall have the capacity to disperse funds no greater than $3,000 for an existing vendor, as long as it qualifies for the advancement of the library's programs, budget, or building maintenance. 3, the assistant director / HR, under the supervision of the director, can disperse funds of up to $250 that facilitate the care and maintenance of the library, as long as it qualifies for advancement of the library's programs, budget, or building maintenance. The new vendor will not be a contract expense without board approval. Lastly, the board will review all income and expenditures for approval at the regularly scheduled meeting. Revision date 3.4.2021. And that's the end of the disbursement policy.
That is actually what we are currently doing. Are there any questions? I think the Finance Committee actually a very good way of memorializing any changes in what the director can spend. It will now be found in a policy. It can be changed in that policy and tracked a lot easier than it has been in the past, hunting through reams of notes to find out when it happened. It will actually be in the policy until changed. A motion to accept this particular disbursement policy. Dan, yes. What is your? All in favor of accepting the disbursement policy?
Aye.
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 Aye. It's unanimous, Megan. Now, that being said, from the report that we got from, but, well, actually not from the Bonadito report, but from the part of the email I got from Greta when she made a rest in terms of us tracking our policies. And Betty Sue and I have had several discussions about policies, and Linda actually came up with a very good plan for following up on making sure that our policies have been reviewed and are current. And so what the plan is that Betty Sue will identify 3 policies at each meeting that we will review for the next meeting with any questions, issues, and concern. And then and we will track and we will either update them, discard them, or do what we need to do to make them viable. Because right now we have policies that have not been touched for greater than 5 years. Betty Sue says that, what was that, on the face sheet, that there is an identification as to when the last time certain policies were.
On the table of contents, in the policy manual, the second page in is a table of contents. And I never realized it until Barb pointed it out to me today, that each of the policies has its number first, then the next column over has the date it was last accepted. And if there were changes made, then that's when it was. So down through like items 1.1 through 1.5 haven't been seen since 2012 or 2013. But then you can see 1.6, which was changed in 2020. So if we have a running list right here, and as Joyce asked me to with, I identified the first 3 to look at that are 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Then if they stay the same, it will just receive its date at the bottom that says, what does it say?
It will be accepted.
Yep, it's reviewed and revised, or reviewed and accepted, but it will have that on there, amended and approved. Whatever changes made will be identified and the date will be right there with it. Now, for example, the one that you just did on disbursement policies that says 4.4, that will go at the end of section 4 because it's a new policy that you wrote now. So the first time that that has gone into the book, it will go in as being written in 2021. That makes sense?
It does. It does. So, and this will be an excellent way for all current board members and new board members coming on board to become more familiar with our board policies as we go through this process.
Now, I do have one comment that I didn't think of. I know you are allowed to amend policies at any time. I'm almost thinking that with new policies, that you have to bring them up at one meeting and
And wait
approve them at the
another.
next one.
Yeah.
Does anybody,
you're right.
Kathy, does that the way it works with the school?
It is. We usually have a first read and a second read and we approve it.
Yep.
Yep.
And I
That's
think
correct.
that's what you with this one. Mhm.
So withdraw that acceptance. So we'll bring this back to the next meeting.
Correct.
For
Do the exact
acceptance.
same thing
Uh-huh.
and then vote on it.
But
Right.
didn't we have a disbursement policy at one point?
I'm not seeing one.
I didn't see one. There is one that's mixed in with the one for purchase and procurement.
That's
So
okay.
There, what I think,
it's like
Gloria,
a
is
sentence in there.
as we go through the policies,
Mhm.
you may find something in one of the other policies that was used, but now should be removed because you will be doing a separate policy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And it is, because this was, it was like a 2-sentence that was part of a procurement
Exactly,
policy,
exactly.
which was
Yep,
not a complete disbursement policy.
yep.
Okay, so is that clear? Okay. Next on it is a NIAGA representation. Evidently, NIAGA, a letter out to Barb and one to the board president. They have a vacancy on the NIAGA Board of Trustees. And we already have one person that's on from our community. And I had, since Gloria's last term here on the board, that she would be a good representative for the Niagara Library System to represent the community. This is something that the board, unless there's someone else or you know of someone else that would be interested, I felt that she would make, and she would be an excellent choice. We would be sorry to leave her as our board member, but I think she would make a great board member for the NIAGA system. Do I need to have, does that need board approval for that person?
I gave you my copy.
Yeah, but
I forwarded it to Gloria and I gave
Yeah.
you my copy.
yeah, it doesn't say that it,
You have to write the
It's-
letter at the back.
yeah. So it just needs from me a recommendation.
Right.
And I would like to recommend Gloria. And unless someone else has someone else that they feel would better serve the library, I'd be happy to entertain it. If not, I would be recommending Gloria to the for the NIAGA system.
I would second, even though I think she should stay here.
I do too, but I also know that if she goes there, she will be coming back and reporting out to us any changes that she thinks is coming down the pike that may affect us as a library in our community. So I do feel like lost but not forgotten for us. So for
Gloria?
that, for Linda,
If I
yes.
can toss something else in there. Gloria, I served on the NIAGA board for 10 years and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay.
But I was never once asked Swan Library at the time to come and bring any information back. And when I
Okay.
would reach out, nobody was terribly interested in it, which I think is different than what you would find. The other thing that I think you would be very good at for them is they're going through some real financial hard times right now. And they've had to lay off people and they're trying to restructure. And your eagle eye for finances would certainly be
Yes.
a welcome addition to them. So I think it's a good way to serve them and still keep your home base in your heart.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think it'd be terrific.
I do
Thank you.
too.
Thank you.
Mhm. The next thing I had here is library open hours. Um, I would like for us to consider opening for a few hours on Saturday. And I want to toss that out there to get feedback from everyone else on what they think. I know we're not at full capacity, but no one else in the area really is either. And they are open to serve their kids on Saturdays, some full days, some half days. And I think it would be great if we were to be able to offer the same thing to our community. So yes, no, maybe so.
Well, I know the only way I would ever get to the library again is on a Saturday, so.
Can I toss something else in? If I'm interrupting too much, just
No.
tell me and I'll hush. We had someone who tried to come in the door tonight because they saw the cars and they saw there were people here and were disappointed that we were closed. On Saturday afternoon, I was in here working and I saw that I had a message and it doesn't ring through. So I listened to it before it left, and it was somebody that I know who was very upset because she'd come with her grandchildren and they were all like, and we weren't open. And it was somebody whose family was a real supporter. And she never threw that out there, which I thought was quite commendable. But I told her you would be discussing it. We have had very few problems with people not being masked. People have been very cooperative with it. And Barb has already sat down and mapped out how we could block out 4 hours on a Saturday, rotating all the employees in one way or the other. The other thing that when you are ready to, that I would recommend is staying open at least one evening a week for the same reason until the original hours of 8 o'clock. I suggested to Joyce that it be Wednesdays, because if there are committee meetings or board meetings, there are already cars in the parking lot. So it already looks like there might be people here. So seeing cars, somebody might say, oh, the library must be open. I'm going to stop. So those would be my recommendations if when you make the decision. It is very clearly your decision.
Yes.
I'm going to mute now.
A recommendation from the board?
I like Betty Sue's idea of staying open on a, starting to have a evening hours, and Wednesday sounds like a good plan, and to open some hours on Saturday. So whatever hours you decide, or we decide, because I'm a member.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So are you?
Can I put, if we open up, I don't
Yes.
know, how many staff are gonna be here on a Saturday? Will there be enough work for them to do without,
Great.
say if we have very few patrons come in, are we gonna do this like from now on? Are we gonna do it for like 3 months? No one comes in, readjust and maybe change the night or change hours? Say we pick a 10 to 2 on Saturday, but no one really comes in, so we change it to 12 to 4 and see how that goes.
The Saturday hours are never well attended until we start having programming. If there are programs on a Saturday, particularly children's programs, it will bring people in there. But Saturday hours have never been about the numbers. I remember when I first thought with the old Swan Library, and I was on NIOGA's board, that they should be opened on Sunday because you have all the churches downtown. People could go to the library after church. It was a total bomb. It didn't bring anybody in. However, I think we're reaching the point where there are people who can't come in, just as Debbie mentioned. So sometimes we have to bite the bullet and but I do think you are right that nothing should be cut in stone for long periods of time. It'll be as you decide what to do with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because if we're open on Saturdays and say, you have to, we're gonna advertise it on the board and we're gonna do all
Yep.
that. But if we don't have anybody come in on a Saturday for a month and a half, is it really worth being open on the Saturday for a month and a half?
That will be your decision to make after
So those are the
we
numbers
keep
we're
those
gonna,
numbers.
okay,
We have all those numbers. So we will
Okay.
continue to keep them. And when you asked about employees, this library is, as long as I'm here, will never be open with less than 3 employees.
good for
I
safety. good.
didn't
Right.
know, pardon?
I mean,
For
that's good for
safety.
safety. I would hate
It's a
to have,
safety issue.
yeah.
It's a
There
safety.
was time last 2 years ago, I think during this festival, when we were doing so we didn't have enough employees. Well, we had a couple of employees who couldn't do the parade. So there were 2 and a couple of friends came in so that there would be 3 or 4
3
people in the
people.
building. But especially because it's primarily female, I don't ever want this building to, and for a while, back a few years ago, I didn't know this till just recently, that one of the part-time or interim directors or managers, I guess, dropped only 2 people on Saturdays. And if someone's using a bathroom or had something to eat or is away from the desk helping a patron, it's too big a territory to cover with 2 people.
Yeah,
So Ben and I have
Yes.
already drawn numbers. We've already drawn everybody's names. We put them in the hat and we figured out already who's going to work with whom on Saturdays, if and when you go to this.
when does the next schedule go up?
I don't know, Barb, when's the next? Well, we do them weekly, but she has some
Okay.
done for the next 2.
Yeah, I've got this week and next week done, so it'll be the week of the 22nd. So
Which
that's
would be-
27th.
So
Essentially,
that gives
the
us
first week.
ample time to advertise.
That goes out tomorrow, or
Okay.
that schedule goes up tomorrow.
Okay, so we
But I
have
wouldn't
ample
put it
time.
on any signage until the week that we're going to do it.
Right.
So no, somebody doesn't think it's open this Saturday.
Right,
But that will start off the Saturday before the 1st of April with reinstituting some Saturday hours.
okay. So we're all in agreement that we're going to start hours, open library hours on Saturday and on one day during the week, a Wednesday. Let me know when you want to start that Wednesday. Let us know when you want to start that Wednesday. And
Same
it'll be
time. I would do it
same
the
time,
same-
yes.
I
And
would
then
start
it'll
the
be,
Saturday, and then because that's still March, and we move right into April, I would say it starts April, because
Okay.
that first Wednesday is now April.
okay,
Okay, which means the second Wednesday, you will all be here for a meeting, which will put some cars in the park.
right. Right. Okay, all in agreement? Yes, Gloria, Linda, Kathy,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes,
okay.
Okay,
And-
the one other thing I would like to do when you do that is return to the closing hour of 5 o'clock on Fridays, because that always was. And there's nobody here after about 3:30. So at least it's beginning to step us back into regular hours, going back to that 5 on Saturday or Friday. Does that meet with your approval?
Any objections to that? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Aye.
so Fridays are it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Uh, we're gonna go into executive session.
Joyce,
Yes,
before we do that, we didn't do the director's report. I mean, Betty Sue did send it out and everything, and
yes, yo, Betty Sue, that's right. How much stuff you have to give us. My bad.
she's muted.
Unmute, Betty Sue. Unmute.
I don't have to repeat anything in the report. You
Okay.
can read it. I do need to have you approve and report. Remember, I sent you a report and said, that's the thing that has to go into the state. I've already submitted it. They will, before they send it further. Most of it is not statistics and stuff that makes any sense to the rest of you. But we have to keep track of minutia. And
Yeah.
that's what we do with circulation and programming, all of that stuff. So when I sent it out to you, I said, I can't change any numbers on that, but I can answer any questions you have on it. So I'm asking you to approve, to accept it. You don't have to approve it. You just have to accept that I have done it and submitted it to Nioga to be forwarded to the state.
Okay, does everyone know what Betty Sue's talking about? It's the Hoag Library of the Swan Association annual report for public and association libraries.
Yep.
She sent that report out. I looked it over. I had a silly question, but
Ask it.
it had to do with, I said, how is it that we're working, here it is. I said, Betty Sue, this says that there's a minimum weekly total of 54 hours. How is it we're open 54 hours, right?
And what did I tell
And
you?
then Betty Sue explained to me that during our regular time, the number of hours worked at a total of 54 because it includes the hours on Saturday and a late
And
hour during the week, and then a shortened day elsewhere. So it actually comes out to 54. So I
Well,
said,
the thing too is, for that question, I'm not sure how to answer it, but they have this little dot you push to get information on it. And it said that wanted them in pre-COVID hours. And then if you'll notice later, they asked, what hours did you run at different times? And it says 40. So that's a difference, the difference between the two.
right,
It's really kind of fun to look at,
yeah,
but
it is.
it's a major pain in the neck.
I glanced at it today and I was wondering, they had asked on there about approved conflict of interest policy. And also they had asked about a whistleblower policy. So did you answer yes to both of those?
I did.
And we do
I know
have
we
them.
have the conflict of interest. I thought we had whistleblower.
We do,
Because
but the way
we had to
it
have
is,
training.
the way that it's worded in our
In the
manual,
policy.
your
Okay.
our policy book, you almost wouldn't recognize it. So that's something that needs like a second,
A little change.
clearer look, but it is
Okay.
there because
Yeah.
I went looking for it.
I knew it was,
Yeah,
because
went
that
looking
was
for
a
it.
state mandate a few years ago.
Yeah.
That we had to do that.
So
Yeah.
we really need to look at that policy. But also, I noticed on this report that you had most of the board members listed on the report.
Yes,
But I didn't see Dan listed. Did you have to list all the board members?
I did. And I remember entering Dan.
Okay, maybe I overlooked
But-
it. I didn't see it.
There are two sets of lines that are empty for vacant spots. And I just left them in the middle of things. So I will check and make sure he's there, but I remember vividly. And I will, if it's not, I will call Lisa at Nioga and have it added.
Right.
That's okay, Betty Sue. A lot of people forget about me.
Oh, we're not gonna forget about you, Dan.
We can try,
So,
but thank you, Gloria, because I will check.
so we need to have a motion to accept the annual report. The full title is Hoag Library of the Library Association Annual Report for Public and Association Libraries. 20. A motion to accept the Linda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay.
Thank you. And I think that's all I really needed to do tonight, except tell you that the Friends, the other day, I don't know, did we have Friends on here anywhere? No. So we should probably add them as a category so that if there is something to report, I can let you know. They're very excited about feeling re-energized. When I told them about our new website, they were like, we'll pay for that. So I got a $1,500 check from the Friends to pay for our new website. They are planning projects and fundraisers. For a number of years, they used to do chair sales where different people, artists and whatever would decorate chairs from the old library or other places, and then they would sell them, and they're going to do that again. They're planning another big book sale. We've talked a little bit about maybe seeing one day a week when the weather is nice, see if we could get a truck to come in and have lunch at the library. And we could have a program or something that might coincide. I tasked Teresa with looking into the price of like a big party tent, like you might see for a graduation party or a wedding, that I'd like to see on our front lawn. For however long, whether we do it a week or 2 weeks or a couple of different times, depending on the cost. And they're interested in funding that, because I thought if we still are not comfortable doing children's programs with large numbers indoors, then we should probably be able to do them outdoors. So that was the thought there. So holy cow, they were just excited about everything, and I'm looking forward to working with them. But one thing they really need to promote being involved in helping with the election.
Right.
Hey, Betty Sue.
Yeah.
Going back to what you just said about the Friends wanting to do different things. I don't know if anybody's aware, there's a new business called Party Time Rentals. They just got a spot in the old Arnold Gregory, and they're in Medina. They're moving to Arnold Gregory. They have all the tents. They have
No kidding.
popcorn maker. Yeah, they have all that stuff.
Okay.
And
you said Arnold Gregory, but then you said Medina. So
well, they're originally in Medina. They're moving to the Arnold Gregory. They got a spot there.
Okay, I'll check that out. And what was the name again, Dan?
Best of Time Party Rentals.
Thank you very much.
I know them personally, so I could actually just send you their cell phone numbers, and
that would be perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Great. I think those are two great ideas that Betty Sue came up with for the party tents with programs outside, and the cafe that you had talked about. You put that. Did you talk about the cafe? Lunch. Yeah.
I've also, Mike and I talked briefly today about how soon can we have him start doing on-site crafts if we limited it to a number of 10, because our capacity for the small rooms is actually 20. But if we only had 10 people in the big room, we should be able to socially distance enough. I don't know if I need to get your approval to allow some on-site programming. But we also have like the book club that was meeting inside, then they were in the garden. And once the weather got cold, they've had to go over to Tim Hortons, and they're really looking forward to coming back. So I need your opinion on if we can start allowing smaller groups to use the facility. And maybe you can think about it between now and now,
Yeah.
and see where the inoculations and things go. But I really would like to see offer. Our numbers, as I said in my report, are way down. I was encouraged to find percentage wise compared to others, we're in pretty good shape. But until we can get people back in here, we're not going to get those numbers up. So adding some hours, adding some programming will help.
Okay. That sounds like a plan.
I think, was that all you wanted that you and I talked about?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
I'll mute
I
again.
think the only change is the fact that Friends want to do a little bit more to help with some of those projects. Okay, are there any other issues for open discussion before we go into executive session? Megan, we're going to go into executive session. No, because it's only going to be one thing and we can add that.
And when Ron Sedona was superintendent, I can remember sitting there after midnight just because I was being nosy.
Yep, we had a couple of those. I think my latest was 1:15 or something like that. It was
Oh my
maybe not
God.
1:15,
I
maybe it was
couldn't do that.
11:15. It was late.
Yeah, that is late.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, I was, the best laid plans. I think it is, I do like the different committees having their motions and things ready ahead of time, because that saves on making sure that you have the correct motion, the verbiage for it and things like that. But there'll always be touchy subject matter,
Right.
and it's just trying to weather through it and come up with the best answer. And that to me is, always the hardest part, is just trying to get the best answer.
Right. Yep.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay, I'm back now, and we've started the recording again.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're back in open session. Motion was made by Gloria, second by
Debbie.
Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, we're back in session and motion. We don't have one.
Well, I think you have to propose what it's supposed to be.
Oh, well, the motion is to propose that the director's salary be increased by 2.5% for the year 2021, retroactive to January 1st, 2021. And that the contract be signed, the numbers therein.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. That is Kathy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Did we get a second on
abstentions?
that?
You
I
need
just
a
want to.
Okay, a second for that.
Yep.
Kathy, you made the motion, Kathy.
Correct. Yep.
Gloria seconding.
I'll second.
And Gloria second. Okay. Thank you. And this is for 2021. And the number of the 2.5 will be placed in the contract and the director will sign for this year. Is there anything else? I would like to, right.
Can I,
Yes,
I think
Linda.
we all have to, I don't think we all voted. We had a first and a second.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Round robin. I'm sorry for being so disjointed tonight, but thank all patient. Going to the top of the screen, Gloria. Linda. Kathy.
I'm good, thanks.
Debbie.
I'm good.
Dan.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I
Linda.
move. I
Okay.
second.
And second for,
I would like to, actually, I would like to thank Mr. Magnuson for staying on and hosting and doing the Zoom meetings for us.
Yes.
yes, always.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Okay, good night, everyone, and thank you again.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.